Money, it buys power. And when greed takes control, it destroys lives. In the next few minutes, you're going to see how trusted companies collapsed overnight, how fortunes vanished, and how a handful of people shook the entire global economy. These aren't just scandals. They are financial disasters that changed history. Every year, trillions of dollars move through banks, stock markets, and financial institutions. Most of us trust the system without thinking twice. But what happens when the people in charge lie? When they cheat? When they gamble with money that isn't theirs? The damage isn't limited to balance sheets. It's families losing savings, workers losing jobs, entire countries paying the price. Let's start with a name that became a warning to the world: Enron. Once celebrated as a revolutionary energy company, Enron was Wall Street's golden child. On the outside, everything looked perfect. But behind closed doors, executives were hiding massive debts and faking profits. They created a complex web of shell companies to make their finances look strong when, in reality, the company was rotting from the inside. When the truth finally exploded into public view, Enron collapsed almost instantly. Thousands of employees watched their retirement savings, held in company stock, disappear. Investors were left with nothing. The trust that had propped up the company was shattered. Then came a man who stole not just money, but hope: Bernie Madoff. For decades, he played the role of a respected financial genius. People from all walks of life, from retirees to celebrities and major charities, handed him their life savings, believing their money was safe and growing. They weren't. Madoff was running the largest Ponzi scheme in history, stealing an estimated $65 billion. He wasn't investing the money. He was just paying off old investors with new investors' cash. When it all fell apart during the 2008 financial crisis, families were ruined, charities collapsed, and some victims never recovered emotionally. This wasn't just fraud, it was a betrayal on a massive scale. And speaking of 2008, the world learned just how fragile the financial system really is. The collapse of Lehman Brothers sent shockwaves across the globe. The firm had been making incredibly risky bets on subprime mortgages, loans given to people who couldn't really afford them. They bundled these risky loans together and sold them off, all while hiding the massive debt they were accumulating. When the housing market crashed, the house of cards came tumbling down. Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, triggering a global financial crisis. Millions lost their jobs. Homes were foreclosed. Economies fell into chaos. What started in corporate boardrooms ended in the living rooms of ordinary people. Not long after, another corporate giant, WorldCom, exposed a different kind of dark secret. Its executives, led by CEO Bernie Ebbers, inflated the company's assets by over $11 billion. It was a simple but enormous accounting fraud designed to hide massive losses from investors and keep the stock price high. When the fraud was uncovered by a small team of internal auditors, the company went bankrupt. Thousands were laid off, and confidence in corporate leadership sank even further. It proved once again that a company's reported numbers are only as good as the integrity of the people behind them. Years later, Europe faced its own shock with a modern twist. Wirecard, once hailed as a German fintech success story, a symbol of innovation, admitted that nearly €2 billion on its balance sheet simply didn't exist. For years, the company had fooled everyone. Auditors failed. Regulators missed the signs. Investors were completely deceived. The scandal revealed just how easily deception can hide behind the excitement of technology and hype. Even in our digital age, the oldest tricks in the book still work. But the manipulation didn't stop at single companies. Some scandals infect the very heart of the financial system. Major global banks were caught rigging LIBOR, the London Interbank Offered Rate. This isn't just some obscure financial term. It's a benchmark interest rate that affects trillions of dollars in financial products worldwide. Your mortgage, your student loans, your credit card rates, they were all influenced by LIBOR. And for years, traders at these banks were quietly manipulating the rate for profit. Ordinary people paid the price, a few extra dollars here and there, without ever knowing they were being cheated. The pattern of deception is global. In Japan, the Olympus scandal shocked investors, when top executives were exposed for hiding over $1 billion in investment losses for decades. They used a complex series of acquisitions to cover up the mess, dating all the way back to the 1990s. In India, Satyam Computer Services, once considered a tech giant and a star of India's economy, collapsed after its founder admitted to falsifying the company's revenues by over $1 billion. He described it as riding a tiger, not knowing how to get off without being eaten. In both cases, trust evaporated overnight, and sometimes the financial destruction can be traced back to a single person. In 1995, a trader named Nick Leeson made a series of secret, unauthorized trades that single-handedly destroyed Barings Bank, the oldest merchant bank in Britain, and even the personal bank of the Queen. He hid his massive losses in a secret account, doubling down his bets in a desperate attempt to win it all back. One individual, $1.4 billion lost, 233 years of history erased. More recently, the 1MDB scandal showed how corruption at the highest levels can infect an entire financial system. Billions of dollars were allegedly stolen from a Malaysian state fund meant to promote economic development. Instead, the money was used to buy luxury yachts, mansions, fine art, and even to fund Hollywood movies. Political leaders and major global banks were pulled into a massive international money laundering investigation. It was a stark reminder that when those in power see public money as their own personal piggy bank, the consequences are felt by an entire nation. When you look at all of these scandals together, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore: greed, secrecy, and power without accountability. These aren't just stories about money lost. They are lessons written in broken lives and shattered trust. They reveal the dark side of ambition and the catastrophic results when integrity is abandoned. And this brings us to the real question: could it happen again? History tells us yes. The same human driver's greed and the desire for power are timeless. That's why understanding these scandals matters. Because the more we know about how these deceptions work, the harder it becomes for them to hide in plain sight. Which of these scandals shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments below. If you want more stories that reveal the hidden truth behind money, power, and financial empires, make sure to follow the Money Matrix. Because in the world of finance, what you don't see can cost you everything. Thanks for watching.